this discussion on health initiatives and innovations, we have Managing Director of Healthcare Vertical of Accenture India, Mr. John R. Samuel with us. Dr. S.K. Tirunavakarasu, he is Deputy Director, HMIS and HSDRC, Government of Tamil Nadu, Health and Family Welfare Department. Sir, we welcome you on stage. Please, sir, please join us on stage. Industry, we have Mr. John R. Samuel, Managing Director, Health Vertical, Accenture India, with us. Sir, we request you to please join us. And we also have a guest from Tamil Nadu. We have Mr. M.S. Shanmugam, Project Director, Tamil Nadu Health Systems, Chennai. Sir, we request you to please join us on stage. And with this, firstly, I request Managing Director, Health and Public Services, Accenture India, to please address. And I invite you to please address the audience.
You look at the initiatives in Tamil Nadu, you look at the e-health, which is the initiative that's coming in Kerala, a very ambitious transformational project. I thought I'd leave the initiatives and just talk about innovations over the next 10 minutes. As we're talking of healthcare innovations, let me create the backdrop. As we sit here and you're seeing the presentation, there are 1.78 deaths every second. We're talking of healthcare, so please indulge me. I'm starting off talking of deaths. That actually translates to what? 107 deaths per minute, and I'm talking on a global scale. If you bring that down to the Indian scale, there are 10 deaths that are registered every minute in India, and it is estimated there's at least half a number that goes unregistered. So we're talking of around 15, 16 deaths every minute that happen here. And what are we doing in healthcare to be able to reach out to these people? Because we know 53% of deaths are because of chronic diseases. And I was reading the Health magazine yesterday, the editorial, Dr. Gupta, I don't know if he's here, he talks about the medically excluded masses. And if you look at that, there is a significant number of people who die because we are not able to reach medical attention to them. And another statistic that will come in handy here as a backdrop, as I'm talking of innovation, is India. We feel proud. We are 10th in terms of ranking worldwide per GDP. We are the 10th largest nation per GDP. But if you bring that into the healthcare scenario, we are at the bottom 5. So we at Accenture and the Accenture Technology Labs and the Accenture Healthcare Foundation Research is trying to see how do you bring innovation, leverage technology, leverage the healthcare initiatives that the government is doing, and we have the Principal Secretary, Additional Chief Secretary Maharashtra, we have officers from Tamil Nadu. They're doing a lot of initiatives. So how do you leverage that spending to reach more people than what is intended? And so I thought I'll just touch on 3 areas. In 10 minutes, you can't talk about too many. One is patient care and elder care. The second is pregnant women and children, infants. And the third is eye care, and I'll say why eye care. So if we were going to the patient care and elderly care, and we're talking of the continuous monitoring of vital signs, today if you've ever gone into a hospital, and not because you're unwell, you're looking at somebody who is in a hospital, you will find a nurse coming to the hospital bed at least 3 to 4 times a day to take your BP, to check your temperature, to check your oxygen, to check your heartbeat. And that's if you're in a general ward. If you're in the ICU, you have these scary looking instruments all around you and you've got these plasters across you. Keep that on one side, and on the other side, think of the Johnson's Band-Aid, and think of a digital plaster that looks like a Johnson's Band-Aid. This little strip that you're seeing in this picture here It monitors right now 5 vital signs. It can check your temperature, it can check the oxygen, it can check your pulse, it can check your BP, it can check your heart rate. So as we have shortage of nurses, imagine a patient lying in the hospital. The nurse doesn't need to come 5 times a day. This is going in to the nursing station as a continuous feed. If you're in ICU, instead of putting equipment worth 2.5, 3 lakhs to monitor all this is just coming to you automatically. That's one side. Look at patients who have been discharged from hospital post-surgery, and sir, you would agree that if you go to a specialty hospital, say cardiac, and if you come to Trivandrum, go to Chennai, nearly 30 to 40% of people who come for the surgery are not from Chennai or not from Trivandrum. They come from outside. Okay? So after the surgery is over, they're monitored and they're discharged, and the doctor says, come back after 1 week. So the poor guy comes back, he doesn't come alone, he's a heart patient. There'll be 2 people who will come with him. They'll wait in a long queue to meet the doctor. And what does the doctor do? He takes his ECG, he checks his BP, he may check his temperature. They normally don't check your oxygen. Whereas in this case, the patient, after being discharged, goes home, they put on this plaster, the reports are coming to the doctor continuously. And you can set parameters that if the heartbeat drops below 60, the doctor will get an alert. If the heartbeat goes over 120, the doctor will get an alert. So over the phone, you can taper down medicines or even change medications. And so we're talking of digital plaster because we see this innovation completely changing the way you do patient care and elderly care. You can use it now for elderly care. We've done pilots in several leading hospital chains across the country. We're even doing a pilot for elderly care, what they call senior citizens who live in retirement homes. They don't need to come to the doctor, or a doctor doesn't need to go there a week. This is automatically coming in. So this is one area of vitals monitoring as a service, which we see as a paradoxical, a paradigm that will completely change the way of healthcare, and this is an innovation we're driving. Pilots are on, successful commercial launch is scheduled soon. That's in India. The solution is currently being used in several parts of the world, including the UK. This is a project funded by the NHS. The second area of innovation I wanted to touch on is eye care, and you may think, what's so special about eyes? And this is a chilling fact. It may make all of you sit up. I know I'm between you and the tea break. 40% of global blindness is in our country. And this blindness is not congenital blindness. This is blindness over a period of time because of, either you've not diagnosed it correctly in time or they have not got the right care. Today, this is how it is done. You have the hospitals doing camps. People go out to individual houses in the remote areas in the village, collect data and feed it back. They do a camp. And here we're driving innovation where someone's going with a handheld device. The data is all digitized, how many houses he's going to. He's meeting with the patients that need their eyes tested. Camps are organized. And, from that camp, you're able to tell them whether they need to go in for glasses, they need a cataract removal, or they need surgery in a hospital. And that is organized. So earlier, if somebody was doing 3 houses in a day, it's gone up to 2.5 times that number now. And this is the innovation that we're driving in eye care. The digitization also helps you to be able to remind people about their appointments. We know that villages don't keep a diary and don't keep a calendar like you prompted from your handphone and your laptop. They get SMS alerts, and mobile penetration is fairly good today in villages. So they get alerts on 2 days before the camp, 1 day before the camp, on the day of the camp, and this is completely tracked, and this is a program that's funded. So private eye care hospitals are very happy to be able to pick volumes using this innovation. The third area of innovation that I wanted to touch on is pregnant mothers and infant children. You know, there are 855,000 Anganwadi workers in the country. And if you look at them, this is the kind of activity that they're doing today. And if you look at it before this innovative solution, they used to have manually written registers, which is now completely automated. They used to have 14 plus registers in their daily course of work, and now there's minimal data entry. They used to plot stuff manually. It is now done automatically. Reminders again were manual, and now it is done automatically. Malnutrition was one area where they're not able to address, and it is being done automatically now. And you know, even the attendance, earlier it was being fudged, and those of you from IT will say that, you know, today they take a digital photograph and they're able to identify if the number of attendants actually fits to the number of people who are in that photograph. So these are three areas that I wanted to touch on, and there are several other areas that we are driving innovation. Feel free to reach out to the Accenture folks around in terms of how to do innovation. There are several areas beyond this, from the back office in healthcare to the doctor's office in healthcare that we are working on, and with experience of driving healthcare programs across the world, we bring that to India. So feel free to reach out to any Accenture official that's here to talk about innovation in healthcare. With that, and with the permission of the Honorable Chair, I will conclude the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you. In a very short, you delivered a very interesting address. And okay, and I request everybody to listen to it carefully, because we will request for Q&As also. So I now invite Mr. M.S. Shanmugam, Project Director, Tamil Nadu Health Systems from Chennai. Sir, I request you to please address.
It's a World Bank funded project. No, it's all right. Thanks. It's a World Bank funded project, primarily addressing certain key areas like non-communicable diseases, mother and child care, HMIS, that is Health Management Information System, tribal health, and integrated biomedical waste management, and generally IEC activities to take the healthcare to all. I am very happy to listen to the MD Accenture Samuel's speech, which was actually taking the medical technology to the next level, reducing the human intervention, which is essentially the need of the hour, because in Tamil Nadu, like in any other state, we are facing an acute shortage of staff nurses and paramedics in general. Considering the ever-increasing load of outpatients and inpatients in the government institutions, the need of the hour is to increase the implementation of technological innovations which make the life of the medical personnel in the hospital easy. I'm happy to hear about the medical staff nurses who are going to the villages with registers being the thing of the past. Happy to inform you, share with you that Tamil Nadu, we have given laptops to the village health nurses who carry it and record the data. They have also been given data cards to transmit it to the head offices. We are also happy to inform that technology per se is not directly, what shall I say, since government does not have an R&D facility like Accenture or any other company, it is dependent upon the companies to come to government to implement their ideas and innovations. In that way, we are welcoming the companies to work with us on a PPP mode. For example, we have allowed in our health insurance scheme companies, or what shall I call, the agencies which are implementing new technology like ECP, which is actually a procedure to be done to heart patients who are not fit for heart surgery. So this is a procedure which is the latest one, is not invented by us or developed by us. It is not available in the government institutions. That is, a patient is allowed to leave heart surgery. I mean, he has to undergo heart surgery, but he is not medically fit to undergo heart surgery. So the only option available is to think of a via media, which is ECP or EECP. So that we are permitting with the companies which are investing the whole money in it to put up the facility in a government institution. We are giving them the space, the electricity, and the other facilities in a hospital. They will invest the technology, put up the machine. They will not charge anything from the patient, nor we will pay anything to them. But the insurance company, since it is a empaneled procedure, one of the listed procedure, the insurance company will pay for us it is the United India Insurance Company. They will pay the company, which is Vaso Meditech company. They are paying the company, the UIC pay, United India Insurance Company pays the company. So this way, this is actually what I am trying to say is, government, being a bureaucrat, I can say that governments are willing to take any new technology, any new invention, any new advancement, so long as it is cost effective and reduces the manpower and improves the patient care. Every government, irrespective whether it is Tamil Nadu government or Assam government or any government will welcome. So this fact must be taken up by the industries, because it is a vast area. India is becoming a global health hub and offers a domestic market also, because it is almost becoming like a business. The domestic market is also too good. So the investment in healthcare innovations and inventions should increase, and every government will be willing to take. Actually, today evening, we will be, if time permits later, we will be making a presentation. Today, the Health Management Information System is a project which our Tamil Nadu Health System project is implementing, is one of the major innovations. That is, we have computerized all the government hospitals at the district headquarters level and the taluk level. So any patient who is coming to a hospital, government hospital, need not stand in the long queue to get the OP sheet manually written, which is not readable. So he will have to say out his name, which will be typed out, and a OP slip printed, computer printed, OP registered will be given, a unique number will be registered, generated in his name, and then he has to carry the slip only, where it will be written which doctor he has to see, which room he will be available. And if he takes that slip to the doctor will type in the PIN number of the patient, and the patient name, detail, etc. will come. Then he will speak to the patient and then start typing the input that he gives, and the prescription also he will type, depending on the disease. Then that prescription will not be given to the patient. There is no prescription. That will go to the pharmacy by intranet, and then the pharmacist, after seeing the doctor, the patient goes to the pharmacy, shows this OP slip, printed slip, and then typing the number, the pharmacist will see the prescription of the doctor and then give the drugs. Next time the patient comes, he need not go to the OP registration. The old number is sufficient. He'll just go straight to the doctor, see the printed slip, seeing the PIN number, then the doctor straight away sees it. This is in crude. This is simplest way of explaining it. There is lot more to it than the simple HMI's OPS management, outpatient system management. Lab technology, HR, equipment, vehicles, everything is totally computerized. The second level is computerizing the tertiary care institutions, that is the medical college institutions. So similar thing, entire departments, we are investing about 85 crores in the computerization of all the activities of the medical college hospitals. There are 20 government medical colleges in Tamil Nadu and 40 other institutions attached to it. And there are 264 government hospitals. Once these government medical college hospitals are computerized, any patient who is from Kanyakumari goes to Chennai Medical College Hospital for higher referral. He just has to show his small slip where his unique PIN number is there. You don't have to carry a big plastic bag with case details. So the entire scan report, ECG, X-ray, whatever diagnosis, case sheet, etc. If the doctor at the Chennai Cardio Center types in that PIN number, he will see the entire health record of the patient generated over the years. So this in sum is the steps taken by the governments at our level to make the life of the patient easy and create a good, valuable medical record available to the administration to make policy decisions. Apart from that, another problem with government department is there are umpteen number of departments. In my own department, health department, we are having 21 directorates. Starting from drug control to indigenous medicine to Directorate of Public Health to Director of Medical Education to Director of Medical Services, my project NRHM and State Health Transport Department, Tamil Nadu Medical Service Corporation, it is 21. So at a policy level, the Secretary to Government or the Minister or higher bureaucrat like us who want to collect data or see through the data, it is not at all relatable, they are not collatable, they are not aggregatable at all. And they are on different terms. So this problem of acting in silos was not allowing us to take a holistic view of things in the department. Therefore, we have created a State Health Data Resource Center, that is, which will integrate all the 21 departments which are functioning under the health department, and cross flow of information and collating and operating on a common platform so that policy decisions, for example, how many dengue deaths are taken place in the last week, then Director of Public Health will give, sir, in my department as per my figures it is 7, and then DMS, Director of Medical Service, sir, in the government hospital it is 2, and we don't know how much in medical college hospital, private hospital, no sir, we don't have any information. This is the chaos that is prevailing in many states also. So this kind of data disintegration is not helping us in any way, even though medically advanced hospitals are there. So we are addressing this problem. Only yesterday the pilot phase of 7 directors have been flagged off. I'm happy to announce that Accenture is the consultant which has developed the platform, which is developing, and they will be hand-holding with us till 2021. So these are all some of the innovative steps which are taken place, and as you can see, mostly what we are doing will be on the administrative fronts. From the medical point of view, the efforts need to come from the industry, effort needs to come from the medical fraternity, which the government will be happy to take. So this is the point which I would like to make. Any action which is intended to benefit the public cannot be delivered by government alone, as you all know, and cannot be delivered by private sector alone. The PPP mode is the current mantra. As long as the going is good, it will go. And one more point which I would like to make is this technology, I don't know how long it will take to the last man in the village to get these benefits, but till then there needs to be certain fundamental points which needs to be addressed before the technology and innovations take their places in the hospitals and institutions. On the one side, we are talking of this plaster type of thing taking 5 readings. On the other side, we are having primary health centers not even having a BP apparatus. So this is the contrasting picture which India always presents in every seminar. This is always being pointed out. So this gap between absence of a BP apparatus in a primary health center and the most advanced plaster-based reading transmission technology, both being in India at a given point of time, this paradox should be broken, and there should be some levels of fundamental basic healthcare facility being available to all. And that should be the common goal. And to that extent, what we should do, where we are lacking, should be our churning point in our minds. Why things are not happening at the ground level? Where is it lacking? Few points that may answer that question would be the infrastructural issues on the HR front. Unlike any other area of development, say for example roads, bridges, electricity, other infrastructure, health infrastructure cannot be done over a short period of time or over a medium period of time, say for 5 years or 4 years. You cannot do it, because it is easy to build a hospital with 200 beds, but where will you find suddenly 40 specialists and 200 medical officers? And where will you find suddenly 1,000 nurses? What is the rate at which a state produces doctors, nurses and paramedics? What is the health institutions, what is the number of health educational institutions in that state, or for that matter in India? So while the dreams are big of providing healthcare, universal healthcare to all, addressing the HR issue relating to the healthcare is the core. Technology, I feel, may come second. Because even though the strip, I'm citing again and again the same example because nothing else comes to my mind now. Initially, some doctor must see that patient. Some nurse must paste that. Correct? So, that number should be there, basically. The government can allot budgets, make provisions for construction of medical colleges, medical hospitals, primary health center. But so long as this healthcare facility providing individuals are also not created adequately within the time, the gap will continue to happen. And that is where the role of private medical colleges emerged, and governments in the various states started encouraging private medical colleges, private nursing institutions, and private health technicians units, education units. And like in any other field like engineering, etc., it started producing substandard HR. And there were unregistered nursing institutes, unregistered this, unregistered that, not recognized. Even medical colleges are suddenly finding their courses derecognized. Second year institutions not recognized by Medical Council of India. They go to court, at least this year you permit. So this stress between the demand and supply of healthcare provision, whenever there is a demand, the market will try to supply it. And the market, when it cannot genuinely able to supply it, it will unscrupulously try to supply it. And that is why you have unrecognized institution trying to cheat the people and push it to the market where they can find no job because certificate is not valid. So these are the core issues which should really bother us, should really make us all think and find answers in a seminar like this. So I thank the organizers for suddenly putting me on the stage. So I hope I was making some sense to you. If there is any question that can be addressed and we can find some answers, I'll be happy. Thank you very much again.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. If Deputy Director, has any comments? Okay. So if there are any questions? Okay. So with this, we wrap up the session, and I request for the presentation of memento to our esteemed panelists, please. Thank you very much for this fruitful session on healthcare, and we had both the perspective, government and private sector perspective, and both are the leaders who are initiating a lot of things in terms of healthcare innovations in their respective fields. So a round of applause for our speakers, please. I request for a round of applause for them. And I request Honorable MD, Accenture India, to present a memento to our Project Director, Tamil Nadu Health Systems, and also to our Deputy Director, Department of Health and Family Welfare, Tamil Nadu. I request Dr. Shanmugam to please present a memento to Mr. Matthews, Managing Director, Health and Public Services, Accenture India. And quickly a group photo, please, with the mementos. That will be great. Thank you very much to all the panelists. And here we wrap up the health session, and we will take 15 minutes of tea. I would like to ask my team if the tea is served there or not. It's tea served. So we'll break for 15 to 20 minutes of tea break, and I'll request everybody to be gathered after 15 minutes.